Radio Oki Talk. Oki Talk. Radio Oki Talk. Oki Talk. Von Mensch zu Mensch.
Whoa, what a start. I'm happy to welcome my dear friend Indiana today. She's amazing in everything what she does, and I love the medicine she brings to this earth, especially there are many things I love about it. I love her retreats. I love the medicine journeys. I love the tantric work. I love her therapy work and her massages. And I just want to, open the space for her to introduce herself. I have to say something as well. She's somebody who is really supportive to all the people around her. And I truly appreciate that she's a community person and she helps everyone she can. So that's something, I'm very, feeling deep gratitude for all of what you give. Okay, so you can introduce yourself.
Thank you, Anji. And it's truly an honor to be here. Truly, truly a bliss to be able to just connect with the world and share the medicine. And thank you for honoring and recognizing, acknowledging that. I'm Indiana Susaña. I am a Schamanic-Integrativer Coach. And so my purpose here on earth, I have discovered, it took me some time to discover it, but when I finally landed to it after recognizing all of the shifts I've went through, all of the things I was able to overcome, I realized the passion that I had for really truly supporting individuals that are in that process of a silent depression, right? Because we all look so happy and go lucky and successful on the outside, but a lot of times there's so many people that are drowning on the inside and they live with this silent pain day by day. And what a beauty when you can recognize that we are powerful, magical beings and that we all have a purpose. And all you need is a little bit of support, a little bit of perspective shift to recognize that you have the power in you, that you can really be a sovereign being. And so I love guiding and empowering individuals to discover their power and also stepping into sovereignty, where sovereignty, you are the boss of your life. You are the one leading and guiding and making the decisions from your connection to your higher self and not from external influences. So that's what I do. That's what I love to do. And I'm also a mother, love being a mother. And I love really, truly enjoy, like you mentioned, just being support to the community. It's something that my mother, may she rest in peace, she was always about community, always supported community. And it's something that I continue to carry her legacy by being able to support those that I could when I can, right? Because it's important to understand how much can you give and honor yourself in that process while honoring others. So thank you for having me here.
Yeah, I'm excited. For me, the community is a really, really interesting part because I feel like my topic at the moment is to how can we light beings bring our light to this earth? How can we ground it and not only like feel and really experience our body, because the body gives those signals directly from your higher source and you can really know what's the next step, but also how can we bring this light into reality? You know, how can we create from it? And that's a community thing. That's a thing where you can't do it alone, because when you are alone, this is not what we are made for as human beings. But community, you know, there's so much struggle in all of this because there were so many different influences on us, so that we don't really function as community beings anymore. And also there are many misaligned frequencies into interactions. And what I really appreciate as well about you is you have a gift that resonates a lot with me, because in some sense I also have that. You can feel others. Like, last time I came to you, I had this headache, and I said, yeah, oh, I have this headache. And you said, oh, I can feel it. It's on this side, it's here and there. And it feels like this. And I'm like, whoa, yes, she can. And I have it also. I talk with someone on the phone and I feel the heart, and I feel what a density. And they talk really calm and so soft. And, but I feel this, they are really struggling to breathe. There's a lot of pressure. So it's not that calm, because I can feel it. But most of us, many people don't realize this anymore, because they are not truly honest with themselves and also not with others. Because we are used to wearing all those masks and being those different people. And, we have this culture of always looking good and successful, as you said. So what's the next step to really ground us, to really bring our light to earth? What's your take on that?
So I resonate with that so much. There's a space and time where you do connect to people and they're smiling in your face. But like you said, when you're really in this space of deep interconnectedness to yourself, and you have taken that path of sovereignty, you really feel, and understanding, like, first of all, just bringing the awareness to individuals that everything is energy, that everything is a vibrational frequency. And connecting to that frequency allows us to really be more vulnerable. And I think vulnerability is the key here. I really feel that when we are able to open ourselves up and just be vulnerable and say, hey, Anji, I'm having a really tough time right now. I am really processing emotions of grief from my mother's passing away 2 years ago. And I thought I was fine and life was going, but lately, for the last 2 weeks, my life is upside down inside. It feels like I'm shedding layers of myself, that I'm like, what is happening? Who am I? Meanwhile, everyone's around me. I was like, oh, there goes the tantra practitioner. There goes the massage therapist. There goes the shamanic coach. There goes the retreat host. And that there's all these titles that are placed on us that put us in a space where we don't allow ourselves to be vulnerable, because we have to live up to these titles. We have to always show up as what people are expecting us to show up because of these titles. But I really truly feel that if we can allow ourselves to be more vulnerable and just really be authentic and not try to wear a mask all the time, it's going to allow room not only for other people to resonate, but also for ourselves to understand that we're not alone in those processes, that we're not in this by ourselves, in this suffering. And then suddenly the suffering becomes a support. It's like you go from suffering because you're staying quiet and you're holding everything in, versus talking. And I've had that happen where you come over and you're like, how are you doing? And I don't know if you're in the space to hear me right now, but and then suddenly you just give me one sentence that clicks something in my mind, touches my heart, and vibrates through me. And suddenly it's like, wow, life is really not that bad. I just needed to open up and let all of this stuff in, right? Because again, everything is a vibrational frequency, and our words, they hold so much power. And even if we're not speaking our words outside of our body, but we're speaking them in our mind, and they're not words of high vibrational frequency because we are in a loop of suffering, then what happens is that internally we start to drown. We start to feel like we're alone. We start to look at the world like a gray place, and we find negativity and everything. But the moment you are vulnerable and you allow yourself to speak to someone, and you know what, sometimes there may not be a human around because they're just busy in their own life, but connect to a tree. Go talk to a tree. I have a big mango tree all the time. And sometimes I just sit there and talk to my tree. Literally, I sit there and I'm like, I feel so crappy right now. I just need a ground so that I can feel the essence of joy, because I know that joy exists within me. but this tiny little problem, I'm making it so big that it's overtaking. It's like a wave that takes over that joy and just drops the joy out. And suddenly you're in this space of like, what am I doing with life? Who am I? So I really feel and truly, I mean, there's so many different keys of being able to bring this light into the world and sharing it into communities so that community can also experience their higher selves through connection, because there is a lot of division, like you said, because of different vibrational frequencies input, different teachers. That may be, you may have two sound healers, but because one learned it in India and the other one learned it in Colombia, now one is better than the other, you know? And it's like, no, there is no better than the other. You both have a beautiful medicine that is just taught in a different technique from different culture, but is still essentially doing the same work that is needed, you know? So the vulnerability, I really feel like it's the key, is that vulnerability of just being open, being honest, being authentic, and connecting to community versus shutting in. And just speaking from a place of respect and honoring and compassion, but with truth. Always connecting to your truth of what it is that you're feeling. Because my truth may not be your truth, but just by me sharing it, you may be able to give me a perspective that can shift the dynamic of my truth and the reality.
Yeah, I resonate with three different things here. One is that I find it very also hard sometimes to really openly share like the vulnerable parts, because you know there are those projections, and I sometimes I feel like, yeah, do people still believe in the medicine and also the true developments, you know, or the insights I have when I also share the dark sides? Because there are those spiritual paradigms that you should be so great, have so much money, and be so out of every like wounded state when you are like how do you say, lifting, you know, like going into the higher realms, which is not, for me, it's not true. It's like if you really embody, you have everything, because we are connected to everything and everyone. So the world is not yet healed. So how can we not feel the pain anymore, you know? So how can we not have problems anymore? So how can we not carry the burden of like ancestral trauma and a lot of stories that we inherited or we brought from our birthplace, or we are connecting to in the whole like process, you know, the whole like collective field, or the pain that the trees are, for example, all cut down. It's a pain I'm really feeling, you know, when we had a garden and the trees were cut down, and I really do feel that pain every time I pass that garden. I'm like, it's so hard. And so sometimes I'm scared that the paradigms don't completely allow me to express everything, like the positive and the negative. So maybe people will not believe me anymore, that I can see energies, that I can feel the feelings when I also tell them what I am going through, or, you know, all of this. So that's sometimes an interesting thing for me.
It's very interesting that you're bringing that up, because there's been a lot of channeling this week coming in for me about spiritual bypassing, and how so many people get so caught up on living this focus on high vibration and being positive all the time, that they completely suppress and ignore all of the shadows that are dwelling within. They completely ignore and don't pay any attention to the work that needs to be done. And it piles up. And I can say this even from my own experience. I went for years and years of being like so focused on, I am on a path of getting inner peace, mental peace, physical peace, emotional peace, spiritual peace, that I completely suppressed anger for so many years. And what happens is that at some point, your body can no longer take such an overload of any emotion that's whether too much high vibration or too much low vibration. And so, yes, as human beings, it's like what I mentioned earlier, we feel sometimes that we have to like always be walking in this place of having to show what people are expecting from us. Because if we show up feeling angry, oh, well, Indiana's no longer a spiritual being. She's no longer a shamanic practitioner. She's not even worthy of hosting retreats anymore, because look at how angry she is. I don't want that holding space for me in a retreat. And so something like that automatically puts the brain in our mind into a place of defense mechanism. And it's like, oh, see, this is why you got to be positive all the time. This is why you got to put on a smile, even if you really want to look like this, you know? And it's like, we have to learn how to just really be vulnerable and understanding that this is part of the human experience. We are energetic beings. And as energetic beings, we are going to gravitate to different energetic emotions. And our emotions are the energies in motion. But then what happens to the energies that are not in motion? Because we're suppressing them. And then paying attention to how the things that we suppress attract. Because if we're an energy, then we are magnet, and then therefore things are being magnetized to us as a reflection and a mirror of what we're carrying within. So whatever it is you're suppressing and holding on to, you're going to attract things like that. And there's a reason why for so long I'm like driving and like just someone cutting me off. I'm like, you know, or like the dogs. I come outside and the dog just chewed up my brand new sneakers, and it's like, what is happening? All of the anger you're suppressing inside, Indiana, you got to let it go, you know? And it's important to understand, if we look at the yin and the yang, and we see one side is white, the other side is black, but within that black, there's white. And within that white, there is black. And so they're a balance. It's something that I really, really honor and truly, truly love about the world of Tantra, is that we have to understand the polarity of everything in order to fully embrace feeling and going through the essence of authenticity. You have to feel it. You have to feel the good. You have to feel the bad, and understand that there really isn't anything good and there isn't anything bad. There just is. Everything just exists as it's supposed to be, so that we can learn from that, so that we can gravitate a lesson from that, so that we can really understand who are our allies. Because like you're saying, you know, you pass by the garden and you can still feel the pain of that tree. The tree was cut down, but the roots are still there. And the roots are now missing its trunk. It's missing being able to feed life up from the ground, up into the earth. And so you feeling that pain, you can look at it like it's a really bad thing and I'm feeling so low. But what if that pain is just a calling out to you to really feel deeper into the life that still exists there in the roots of underneath the ground, and the potential that those roots have to bring new life into the world, that perhaps that tree, it was its time to go so that a new tree can be birthed, you know? And maybe this is just that cry of that pain you're feeling. It's just the roots letting you know, like, hey, the tree is gone, but there's still life underneath here. You know, we're still providing that oxygen from underneath the ground to burst through the ground so that something else can be planted here and birth from that. So it's just beautiful to be able to look at the polarity of everything. I'm in this process of grieving my mother still, and it comes in waves. You know, it's like there's times where everything is good and dandy and I'm grateful, and I'm like, yes, mom is not suffering no more, she's in a better place. And suddenly it hits me, I just want to hear her voice, I just want to hug her. And I've been going through that lately, but in that going through that, what I'm recognizing is the parts of mom that were not at that highest vibration that I'm still carrying. And now I'm shedding that. And so I'm really not grieving missing my mother. What I'm grieving is letting her go, letting go of the parts of her that were not so high vibrational. And there comes in that polarity of understanding that this grief that I feel, this dwelling in my heart that I feel, is really just a layer of shedding. Therefore, there's gratitude to be had, because that means there's growth coming after that shed, you know?
Amazing. I am giving in Roman chamomile, which is really soothing and it fits to the mother love. It's like the, the love of a mom. And I will also give in Melissa, which is the oil of the light.
You know, it's beautiful. I love that you're bringing in the essence of the oils into the talk, because as you mentioned the chamomile, I close my eyes and I can just see this whole field of like these beautiful chamomiles just growing and kind of like the wind swaying them. And as I'm seeing that and you're smelling it, I can feel that kind of that movement in my body and just the softness of it, the gentleness of it. Yet it's such a strength, powerful energy of the shifts that it can make. And this is what I mean about bringing that light into the community. You know, with even you bringing in the essential oils to the community, it's a way of people really connecting to energy, because it really, when you inhale these scents that these amazing herbs bring to us, these amazing spirit allies bring to us, it puts us into a perspective of connecting to a different part of us, connecting to the part of us that is connected to that chamomile, connecting to the part of us that is connected to that light, and really like living in action from that place, living intentional from that place.
Yeah, and it's like with everything you can, that's the thing that calls you, that your heart is really resonating with you. It will bring so much healing to yourself, even if it doesn't look like healing sometimes. It's always healing. And for example, I have a special story with this Guarani. I didn't like it at the beginning. I got it because it's the oil of like trust and self-love and, like being like, yeah, really like cozy and home and, trusting human family and human relationships. And I didn't like it. It was really it had a horrible scent for me. And I was like, what do people like about it? They say it's floral. It smells it smells like really rotten kind of stuff. And then, I knew already that you can work with those oils you don't like. And then you can start slow. And some people hate it so much they can't even smell it. They can't smell it. And then they need to put it onto the sole of their feet to slowly let it come into their body, And I was working with this like every day for maybe 30 days or something. And it was amazing how it changed, how the smell changed the skin. It was every time it was a bit more pleasant. And my life also shifted. Like I got so many good relationships into my surroundings, and it was like something happened. I felt more and more grounded in the community and here in the Dominican Republic, and it was amazing. It doesn't mean everything is gone and everything is now love and light and kind of stuffy stuff. No.
No, but it's a level of support, and this is that essence of like really understanding how energy works, how vibration works, and I think this is one of the things that like Einstein really understood about energy. He understood the contagiousness of energy, and what it is like they say, like, you bring one rotten apple to the tree will ruin all the other apples. And there's a reason for that saying, because there's a energetic exchange that comes in and intertwines. And so many people are so focused on that intertwinement only with people. But look what the oil did for you, just connecting to its frequency. Of course, in the beginning, you didn't like it because you were not vibrating that in your body. That energy, that vibration didn't exist in you. So smelling it was very foreign. It's like, what is this smell? Ugh, right? But you start smelling it every day, maybe once a day. Then the next day you do it twice. Then by the third, you're like, by the end of the month, you're smelling it about 10 times a day. You're becoming one with this energy. And by becoming one with this energy, and this energy is all about community, is all about support, is all about friendship, is all about that love that's unconditional. Now that you're one with it, you are vibrating that. So you're going to attract that to you. This is what I'm talking about, that magnetism of what it is that we're vibrating within, we're going to attract. And so if we're vibrating X, Y, and C within, and then you bring A, B, and C that is not X, Y, and C, how do you blend them together? How do you blend them together to like really allow it to flow and have that oneness, that unity of oneness, which is really like, I think, the goal when you're bringing in the light into the community, when you're really working on bringing your medicine into the world without coming from a space of ego, but really just coming from a space of integration, of love and compassion, of like, the goal is to be one, to have that community of oneness. And the more that we can be vulnerable with one another, the more that we can really become one and see that your pain is my pain. My smile is your smile. Your love is my love. And when we laugh together, we grow together, you know? But if you're over there and I'm over here and you're suffering about something, I'm suffering about something, and nothing is being spoken about, what ends up happening is we close in, we go into a cave, and things don't shift and don't align. So this is why, again, I come back to that vulnerability. Having vulnerability and community really just supports with everything else, connecting with the essential oils, connecting to like the different frequencies, the different sounds, connecting to nature, and allowing yourself to like really, one of the things that I do all the time, it's like connecting with the sun. So many of us like forget the power that there is in the sun, and just simply looking into the sun, especially the morning sun hours, and bringing your palms up to the sun and envisioning all of the rays and the heat and the light coming in, and then that light traveling through your body and energizing your solar plexus. I mean, the days I don't do that, I can feel the shift in energy where it's like, where's that vibrational feel of like sunshine? Where is it?
That's amazing. I did for a time, but it's a long time ago. I did a morning meditation every morning for 2 or 3 months with breath work. And I was sitting in the sun and breathing, you know, and releasing also and all of that. It was such an amazing time. It totally shifted my whole, like, it also opens up a lot. Yeah, it opens up the energy field, and like even in the body, it saturates
Absolutely.
everything. Yeah, so yeah, it's amazing. I will implement this again.
Yes, it's really, really, I mean, we
Yeah.
have so many tools, you know, and so many tools that we have. And when we really begin to embrace these tools will lead us to community. And not only would it lead us to community, but it will lead us to community that have other tools that we don't know about, you know, and then blending them in together, it just allows more vulnerability again, like that. It comes back to that vulnerability, that openness, authenticity.
Yeah, and also being with the different things coming up. I mean, you know, the misunderstandings and all of these things that are coming in between, which is just a normal thing of life. Even with my children, or, you know, we have all these different feelings and, yeah, states of being throughout the day. It's like changing in the daytime many times. And not to take it so serious. I think that's another, maybe that's another, a lot of,
Well, you know, one of the things that I've come across, it's understanding also the importance of space. You know, sometimes vulnerability is space. Sometimes it doesn't mean you completely isolate, but when there are these miscommunications and there are these moments of not understanding each other, instead of trying to make each other understand each other, sometimes all you need is a little bit of space from one another. And in that space, you begin missing and you begin to recognize the things that you are missing. And then suddenly you realize that all this other stuff that you were so worried about and you were putting so much focus and attention on is not even as important as the love that is shared there, is not even as important as the connection that exists between two individuals. And sometimes really that's part of vulnerability is being authentic and saying, hey, right now I just need my space so that I can process this miscommunication, this misunderstanding that you and I are having. And even though you're giving me your perspective and I'm giving you my perspective, we're still not understanding each other. Right now, we just need a little bit of space. That's it. And then within that space, you connect to those tools. You connect to your guide, the tarot readings. As you know, I also do tarot readings. And tarot reading for me is a really, really huge tool that I use for myself daily. It's part of my daily ritual. When I wake up in the morning, I connect to the directions, to the 4 directions. I bring in the elements. I bring in my guardian angel. I bring in my ancestors. And I say, okay, it's time for a consult. What's going on with my energy today? What are we doing? What should I not be doing? And sometimes when I'm going through moments of emotional turmoil, I wake up feeling anxious. I have my rapé tool. I sit with my rapé. And once I sit with my rapé and I do my breathing, then we go into the tarot. But it's really just a really powerful tool for me that supports me in understanding someone else's perspective when I can't understand them because my ego is so in the way of like, no, it's my way or the highway, because we're human beings and we tend to do that. No matter how spiritual you are, no matter how high vibrational you are, the ego is always going to try to tell you, no, you're right, they're wrong. And this is where it's time to like put the ego to the side and really rely and lean on your tools, rely on your ancestors, rely on your allies that really come in to support you, that are high vibrational majority of the time, that are kind of coming from a higher consciousness than the one that we carry to bring us more insight and connection into our higher selves.
Yeah, what just came to my mind still is that we don't overvalue all of these thoughts and emotions. We process them. If you have an emotion and you really totally feel it for only 30 seconds or something, you totally feel it, it's gone. It's just gone. Yeah. And that's the amazing thing. It's in an instant, and it was just energy. It was just like a high voltage going through you and chew. But if you don't process it completely, it's like still there, and it still triggers a lot of thinking, and the thoughts are really like sometimes poisonous. They can go somewhere. They just tell a story that is not really true, or it doesn't matter if it's true or not, but it can show you things. Truly, you can see pictures, and you need to also rely on that, but there are like different sources, and it's good to figure out where the source really comes from. There are thoughts that are like an inspiration that comes from another source. There are like feelings that tell you the truth, and they translate into thoughts, because we need thoughts to express everything. We cannot just feel, because we are trained like this, and it's like the evolution. We went that path. But there are also thoughts, I feel sometimes disruptive thoughts, they come from other sources, and they just try to influence us, and they are not real. They tell stories that are totally not real. And it's very important to figure out what is the truth, what is my truth.
Absolutely.
And to see that, but also to let it go, not to.
Absolutely. I resonate with that so much, and mainly because there's a lot of different and this may be way off for some people, but with the understanding of our energetic field is so massive and expansive, and understanding that it's not just humans dwelling on this earth, And we have these reptilian energies, we have the cosmic energies, and in the cosmic energy itself, there's so many layers of consciousness in the cosmics, and every single layer has different, we have the dragons that come in to support, and then we also have enslaved dragons, and then we also have, like, there's just so many different aspects. The draconian energies are like, they feed off of the light. This is what strengthens them. And so sometimes all of a sudden you start feeling like really down and really depressed, and you're like, where is this coming from? And this is what you're talking about. It's important to ask yourself, is this really mine? What is influencing me to really truly feel this way? Because it could have been that you just came in contact with someone, you saw them, and hi, how you doing? You're hugging, and you're not hugging heart to heart, you're hugging from the opposite. So now you just transmuted some energetic exchange here. You go home and you think you're fine, and little did you know that you just hugged with a draconian energy that sucked out your entire light in that 10-second hug. And now you're feeling drained. And so at this moment, you sit with yourself and you're like, just taking that deep breath and connecting to your essence, which is why it's so important to do breath works that you're talking about, why it's so important to dedicate the first hours of the morning to yourself before anybody else, so that you can get familiarized with your own energy, you can get familiarized with your spirit guides, with your team, so that when something else is dwelling within you that doesn't feel like your energy, you can really sit there and, like, sometimes it's not even important to know where is it coming from. Just recognize that this is not my energy. I release it. I call back my power. I take back my power, and I release all that is not in alignment with who I truly am. I release all that is not part of the alignment of my higher self. I take back my power and I release all that is not. It is so important to do that. And the more that we connect with ourselves, the more that we are on that path of sovereignty, of knowing our truth, the more that we're going to be able to be in a space of discernment, of knowing when what is dwelling within us is not part of our truth. This is someone else's truth influencing our own energy. This is someone else's vibrational frequency contaminating, or like just like plugging in into what we are. It's very, very important to really connect to ourselves and understand who we are at our core, so that when other things come around to influence and they do attach, as a practitioner that does massages, or let's say even the Tantra, when I'm doing Tantra work, the purpose of this Tantra work is to the essence of the Tantra is reawakening individuals to their truth, to who their core identity is. Our sexual powerhouse holds the code to our authentic blueprint in our DNA. Before mom and dad came to tell us who we were not, before the school system, before everybody came in to manipulate and shift who we are at our core when we signed our soul contract. And so with working with individuals where I'm supporting them to activate their own sexual energy, to begin flowing through their cores, through their channels, it begins to release stuff in them. And so as a practitioner, you have no idea how much I have to work then afterwards to just be like, wait a minute, this is not mine. This is an attachment. This is a little leash over here. Oh, now we got a little freaking, what do you call those, ticks? I have a tick stuck on the back of my neck from the last client, but I wouldn't be able to do that unless I understood and was in direct alignment of who I am and what my truth is, what my vibrational energy feels like when I am at my best, what my vibrational energy feels like when I am not at my best because I'm maybe processing something, and what my vibrational feels like when it's being influenced by outside source. So important. And again, it goes right back to vulnerability, and just having vulnerability with self, of saying, okay, wait a minute, I'm feeling really, really disoriented today. Okay, am I feeling disoriented because of something I am internally going through, or is this an influential disorientation happening for me right now?
Yeah, I
And when
really
you
want.
ask yourself those questions and then really be vulnerable with yourself about it, it's like you hit it right on the spot. It's like, oh, wait a minute. I engaged with X and Y activity yesterday and I picked up some stuff and now look, I'm feeling disoriented.
Yeah, I really want to say something about this because I have a very, these times I feel everything is so like faster, faster, and much faster. And I realize much faster also what's going on. You know, I feel totally off because of something, and I don't really know where it comes from or what it is. And it's not always important that you know the source or that you figure out, you know, what's happening, or you get the whole picture. This was like before you needed, or I needed to find out the whole situation, like a detective with family constellation, with this and that and whatever. And now sometimes it doesn't feel really important anymore. But what is happening is that when I realize, that's the pattern. I'm in this trauma pattern again. And that's why I am so blocked here and there. That's the response. And that's the sentences I tell myself, you know? And then what could I say instead? Or what is the release? And then I feel a different energy and I tell myself the different sentence, and whoa, I can feel how the energy is opening up, you know, and the channel is opening up and the whole system relaxes. And sometimes it's really just a second and one sentence, because I was permanently talking to myself in a manner, repeating old, you know, patterns, stick to old self-image, to whatever. And when I just release it, it changes the whole situation. It doesn't need to change in the outside, like in that second, but inside I can feel my energy centers are different. The flow is different. Everything is like opening. And that's a real shift for me. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's important. It's important to do those things of just like recognizing those patterns, because sometimes we're so stuck in the loop of patterns that we don't even recognize we're in them until you ask the right questions to yourself. You ask the right questions and you will get answers. And you just ask, like, wait a minute, why do I keep experiencing the same situation? Or why do I keep experiencing the same type of relationships? And suddenly just that one simple question will show you what it is that you're entertaining in your mind. What are the thoughts you're entertaining? And what are those thoughts bringing up emotionally for you that keep attracting those things into your life? So really, sometimes, like you said, it's just 1 minute of recognizing, having that awareness, and then boom, you change it right away. It's a quick shift right away. Absolutely.
Sometimes you need to do the shift more, you know, more often, because you fall back. But first you need to know, what's my energy? You know, how do I feel really relaxed? How do I feel really good? And you need to also have experienced this. So that's
Yeah.
another thing where you need a community, because if you have really great people around and you have really experiences of truly being yourself. Some people never experienced being truly themselves, only when they were children, or, you know, it's a long time ago, or sometimes very short instances, but not as deeply felt inside. And all of
Yeah.
us, you know, shifting between this and that mask and this pattern, and then again breathing and feeling, wow, no, this is me. Yes, now. But once you have established this more and more, you can come back to it easier,
Mhm.
at least a bit easier.
With much ease. Absolutely. I recently went through that. You know, my daughter went to Dominican Republic, Santo Domingo's capital, and spent 4 days there. And she sent me a list of items with prices. And I said, well, what is this? And she said, well, me and my boyfriend are planning on moving in together, so we're planning. And suddenly it hit me. Who am I when I don't have a daughter at home anymore? Who is Indiana when Indiana is no longer a mom? I mean, I will always be a mom, but not the caretaker mom, because she's getting ready to leave the nest. Who am I? And it literally put me in this spiral of feeling like I don't know who I am. What am I doing? What am I doing? And I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna be honest, I went on this spiral for a good week. And a lot of crying, a lot of like just disbelief in myself that I've dedicated so much effort and time into only being a mother, that and having my business, that this is all I know is my business and being a mom. And then who am I after that? And again, thank God for the vulnerability that I allow myself to have, and for amazing friends that reminded me, you're also a friend. You're also a great, amazing, like, support to the community, Indiana. Like, you're also very silly. You can be very silly and childlike when you want to. You know, you're also this very adventurous woman that loves to just go barefoot into the mountains without caring if you're going to get a thorn in your foot, you know? And so it's just beautiful when you can allow yourself to be in a space of vulnerability with yourself, because then you can be honest with yourself about who you truly are. And therefore, allow yourself, when you begin to trust in that, then you can really know, who can I be vulnerable with? You know, because a lot of times we also don't show our vulnerability because we don't know, can I trust this person? Is this person going to judge me? Is this person even going to have the capacity to hold space for me? Which is something I'm also learning, that as much as anyone calls themselves spiritual, high vibrational, not everyone has the capacity to hold the space for your negativity, because they are so stuck in their positivity, you know? And it's like they're such in a mind frame of like, everything has to be so high vibrational, that when someone is not high vibrating, they can't hold space for that. And this is where you have to come to a space of understanding that it's okay. Not everyone has the capacity to hold space for vulnerability, but it also shows the reflection of how much vulnerability can they actually have with others, you know?
I want to give first cedarwood into the field, which is also for community. And then I want to say something in. Wow, this is amazing. It's so much, so woody, earthy. Yeah, the other thing is that I also feel with the vulnerability that it, even for whom can I trust, it brings up different other programs. Like what I've experienced is that in different cultures, there are different programs. For some people, it's very difficult to find somebody who is openly criticizing, you know? And for example, in German culture, it's more so that you openly address what is difficult. But you try not so much of, I don't know if it's in total German culture like this, because many people are also backbiting. But in other cultures, it's more that you never say anything bad at the like face to face, but then behind the back. And also, I realized something about Dominican culture, for example. It's not a bad thing. I just realized 2 weeks ago. It's not that they mean bad, that they talk about others, but they try to not have conflict. You know, if there's a problem in the room, always the person who is not there is the one who caused the problem, because then no one needs to fight and say, you are the one who caused the problem. You need to resolve it. You have the responsibility now. You need to pay. But it's the one who is not there, and he's responsible. So we don't have a problem here. So it's a way of community resolving problems. And I
Right.
always put my German mindset, I felt like, what are they doing? They are talking bad about each other. They are backbiting. I can't trust them because they will talk about me. And yes, they do. They do. But why is that less secure than criticizing directly? It's not less secure. Both is nothing can hurt you if you are totally centered in yourself. And
Right.
nothing is worse, One thing is not worse. It's not a worse character. It's just a different way of trying to cope with life. So it
Right.
was amazing to see
Absolutely.
this inside. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you know what? I'm really grateful that you brought that perspective up. I'm really grateful because the reality is that not everyone, you have the different types of attachments, right? And some people have like anxious attachments. Some people have the avoidance attachment. And if you are an avoider, you don't want conflict. You don't want confrontation. So it's a lot easier to go vent with someone else about what I have to tell you because it avoids me having to confront you about what is bothering you. And so in a subconscious way, it's like, well, maybe if I talk to this person about it, it'll get back to her and then she'll understand. You know? Is it right? Is it wrong? It's not. It's just a way of really allowing yourself to express vulnerably what you are feeling without having to have that confrontation. Whereas, like you said, in the German culture, I have German friends that, I remember there was a time where you reached out to me and you were like, hey, like, what's up? I feel like there's a disconnect here. What's going on? And I said, Angie, I'm so sorry. I'm actually just grieving my mother right now. And I'm disconnected from the entire world. It's not just you. But I appreciated that you actually reached out and asked me because it showed me like, hey, Angie actually cares. Like, I know she's busy and we hardly ever talk, but she cares. Like, she cares, or else she would have never reached out and she would have just took it personal and like never talked to me again or whatever the case may be. So it is different. It is different culturally for everyone. Yet there, like I said earlier, there is no right or wrong. There just is. And I feel that what is most important is what feels okay for you, what feels high vibrational for you. And this is something that in my integration with my mentor, he asked me while I was going through this process of like the possibility of my daughter leaving the nest soon and me shedding layers of my mother that I didn't recognize I had within me, but they're there and now I'm shedding them. And he said, well, what do you connect to that brings you joy, that brings you excitement? And I was like, I love gardening. I love doing tarot reading. I love offering my hypnosis. I love providing tantra. I like massages. I've been doing massages for so many years. My body is just drained from it. But when I do it, and people get off the table and they're just so happy, it just brings me joy to be able to bring that level of peace, that level of relaxation, that level of just like, I needed this, to someone else. It brings me joy. And these are the things that it's important to connect to when you are feeling at your worst and maybe the breath work isn't working, maybe standing in the sun isn't working. Then I'm going to get into my garden and put my hands in the dirt. And next thing I know, I have that joy blooming from me and blooming from within. So there is no right or wrong way. There's just different ways and different formats of doing things. And the goal is to like have that result of really feeling that connectiveness with self so that then you can bring that connectiveness out into the community.
Yeah, that trees, if you're in trees and also like digging in the earth with the roots, they bring some scent and some substance into the air that is really going directly to the brain, and it helps with depression. Did you know that?
Absolutely.
It's
Absolutely. That is what when individuals come to the retreat, I was just having a conversation with someone that wanted to collaborate with me for a retreat, and they want to do the retreat in some place that's really fancy and I said, that's great, beautiful. But for me, it's important that when people come, they really come to connect to themselves, not to come to this big fancy, it's a 5-star Airbnb. And then they're going to go home thinking about how much more money can I make to have something like that. versus being somewhere simple, nice little cabin, wooden house, surrounded by nothing but nature. And now we're going to go outside every morning barefooted and we're going to hug trees. And every afternoon, we're going to sit by the water. And being that the water is all about emotions and flow, what are the emotions that are flowing or not flowing within you? Let the water speak to you with your feet in the water. You know, I had a conversation yesterday with someone that was telling me that they spent their birthday at the beach, and just having their foot buried into the sand, they just felt so alive when they went home. And she's like, I live 10 minutes from the beach. Why do I not do this every day? You know, so having that awareness that nature is here to support us. Nature is here to bring us into that direct alignment with that high vibrational frequency, so that then through that high vibrational frequency, we attract more people in the community to also embrace and honor nature.
Yeah, and the grounding effect is so amazing. There is no, the electro smog and everything can just flow down, and it just, you know, everything, all the immune system, everything is boosted with this grounding effect. Just
Absolutely.
walking barefoot. Just walking barefoot. It's so easy. Yeah.
So easy. So easy.
So
Are you still connecting with cedarwood?
the last one I want to bring is Yang Yang. Yang.
My favorite.
I know.
I have a story. Can I share a story about the Yanglang? So just like you were mentioning earlier, when I first smelled Yanglang, I could not at all resonate with Yanglang. And it was just like, oh my God, this is horrible. Like, why does this smell like this? Who likes this? And I just could not connect to it. And the more that I allowed myself to connect to Yanglang, the more that I began to intertwine my inner feminine and masculine to like really unite. Because the Yanglang is all about bringing in that balance between the feminine and the masculine. And I was just so much in my dominant masculine energy, and so much so in this space of like, just so much into this space of like dominance, and I gotta go. That masculine energy of always having to be the one in control and everything else. Meanwhile, my feminine energy was like craving for nurturing, for compassion, to feel, because we have to feel if we want to heal, right? If you really want to heal, you have to be vulnerable enough to connect to your emotions and feel them. And that is all part of that feminine energy, that mother energy, which I was very much disconnected from. And so the more that I connected to Yanglang, suddenly it's like I started nurturing myself more. I started taking more baths. I started allowing myself to get massages instead of just giving. I started feeling and like really being vulnerable with the emotions that were coming up for me, and understanding that, hey, you are so busy that you didn't even understand that you were going through sorrow. You were going through a deep level of like sadness. And now that I am aware of the sadness, where is it coming from? And now I can use the masculine energy to bring in the logic of trying to understand where is the sadness coming from. And then once I land there and I'm like, okay, this is where it came from, bringing in the feminine energy back in again to now bring in some compassion into that sadness, to bring in forgiveness to that sadness. So I have a very beautiful relationship with Yanglang. It's one of my favorite essential oils. And like, especially when you're on your moon menstrual cycle, it's the best. It's the best to put on the meridians connected to the kidney, connected to your bladder, connected to your womb. And it does wonders. I love it. Love the Yanglang. So I'm so happy you're bringing Yanglang in here.
There are some of those oils that really like balance the whole hormone system, and it's one of the best things you can do. Especially also if you have like problems with your period or anything.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Ooh, we are nearly at the end already of our conversation. You still want to say something to the audience, to the community? Is there something you really want to give to everyone?
So it's really been an honor to be here. It's really been an honor to share space and just bringing in the channeling of that message of the importance of vulnerability, the importance of truly connecting to who you are and accepting where you are at life and understanding that there is no good, there is no bad. You are exactly where you're supposed to be at in order for you to reach the next step of really truly connecting to that community that you desire, that you're looking for. You know, so many people are looking for their tribe. So many people are looking to really feel into a space of connectiveness and accepting. And in order to have that, the vulnerability is so important, so important. And I truly love, and it's a passion of mine to support individuals in being empowered in their vulnerability, being empowered in their own authentic self. And so if anyone ever wants to connect, I believe all of my links are going to be shared here. I'd love to connect. I'd love to be able to be a support to you on your journey of really stepping into your authenticity, your vulnerability, and your sovereignty. And thank you so much, Anji, for inviting me to have this talk. Thank you to the Oki Talk for hosting us and holding this amazing space to be able to share divine sacred messages to the world. Thank you. It's an honor.
Thank you so much for being here, for joining us, and for sharing your medicine. I just totally, totally love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Radio Oki Talk, Radio Oki